everyone. Welcome to another episode of ApplePie TableTalk. Today we are interviewing Unginita Prevost. You specifically work with women entrepreneurs, and you can honestly say that you are a self-made woman. You have no funding from a family, and you don't have a wealthy husband, yet you have a six-figure lifestyle. How did you create yourself as such the success that you are?
That's a great opening. And I often start off my talks with a phrase, don't let the glitz and glam fool you, because I was aged out of the foster care system at 18 years old, like I've shared. That's actually how we connected, right?
Yes.
And I experienced every financial hardship you can possibly imagine: homeless, jobless, carless, cashless, and parentless. And the way that I've been able to sort of elevate myself is because of the skill sets needed to make money. And that's carried me throughout my life. I'm not going to say that I haven't experienced financial hardships beyond that. I haven't made money mistakes, financial mistakes, had financial setbacks. Those skill sets have always led me, to the next level and helped me to overcome whatever financial setbacks that's occurred in my life.
So I would like to cover how it is that you learned how to make money. Because one thing, as women, we're socialized as girls, as children. We're not expected to be entrepreneurs and to make a six-figure income. We're socialized to be wives, to be mothers, to support other people, and to stay in our lane. So how can we rewrite the social narrative and the scripting in America where we can teach our generation coming up how they can empower themselves, how they can take care of themselves, and be independent? How did you learn that without having that framework from school or family?
Great question. So when I was aged out of the foster care system, pretty much if you're not familiar with foster care, when you're in the foster care system, you get a parent and they're paid by the state to take care of you. And when you turn 18, the state no longer pays your foster parent. So essentially, you're aged out of the system. And they don't offer you any additional support. They don't offer you any education. They just pretty much let you know that in 6 months you have to go. So I already knew that. I started working at 15 years old. That's sort of because when you're a foster kid, you don't get a lot of the goodies that most kids get. You get a little bit of money from your foster parent, but then if you want extra things, like I wanted to go shopping, I wanted to buy perfume, I wanted to buy a handbag, I had to get a job, so I worked on the weekends. But essentially, I developed that work ethic, and I learned how to go out and get a job. I learned to sell myself at 15 years old. I ended up in a real estate office answering the phones every Saturday and Sunday. To this day, I love working on Saturdays and Sundays because of that. That's how I started. Then I worked in the beauty and the fashion industry, sort of anchored myself in beauty and fashion, selling makeup, selling clothes, was a fashion merchandiser at a store called Wet Sealed. I worked for The Body Shop. I worked for Macy's, Regis Hairstylist, Supercuts. Oh my God. I worked for so many different fashion companies at trade shows, fashion and beauty companies at trade shows. But I was always in that position of selling myself. I didn't have a choice. I just did it. I didn't know what it was at the time. I figured, okay, I have to pay for food. I have to find a place to live. I have to pay for my bus fare because I didn't have a car. So I needed to work. So work was always important to me. I should say getting a job and maintaining work was always important to me.
So in a way, would you say that possibly your disadvantage gave you an advantage because you knew you didn't have the safety net of a mother's couch to sleep on. You didn't have Uncle Henry that was going to write you a check if you ended up. So maybe is that disadvantage? Did that give you the advantage to push yourself because you had to get that done?
I think so. I think I just had this conviction to better myself. I wanted to be more. I wanted to do more. I want to be a statistic because in the foster care system, when they sit you down, I had a probation officer when I was taken out of the home, and he basically told me, like, black girls like you, the odds are against you. Either going to end up homeless, you're going to end up on drugs, you're going to end up a mother on welfare, going back into the system, they end up incarcerated, and most foster kids don't go to college. Now, I've never gone to college, and I say that with great humility because I continue to train, I continue to study, I continue to improve myself, right? Self-mastery is important to me. I didn't have that as an option. I'm not saying everyone, should, I don't want that message. I don't want to put that message out there, but I'm saying that this is my journey. I wasn't able to go to school because of financial reasons. I still believe in education. I still believe in studying. I study every day. I continue to, do trainings and so forth. But I had to make a living to live, at 18 years old. And so I carried that throughout my 20s.
So what do you think is a key factor that made you an exception to the rule? Because as you just stated, statistically, foster kids aren't expected to succeed. They're not expected to excel. And here you are, you're a self-made woman, you're teaching other women. How did you overcome the narrative that your social worker even told you, this is your expectation? How did you say, no, that's not my expectation, I'm going to rise above?
I think for me, I always envisioned like a bigger life for myself. I would visualize, fantasize. I wanted to be a star. I wanted to go into the entertainment business, which I later, was able to do. But I just had this desire in my heart, and I had a little bit of belief in myself at the time, and that is what catapulted me. That's really it. There was just something inside that said, it's okay that this is your life. And I'm not going to sound like it was hard. I don't want to make it sound like it wasn't. It was very hard. I cried. I felt like, I was, like unfortunate. I would see other kids with moms and dads, and I would just be like, why? Why didn't I have a mom and a dad that, would take care of me and be there for me? And, what's wrong with me? And, it was tough. But I managed to make it work, and I took every day one step at a time, and I followed my heart.
So how did you decide to not be a victim? How did you decide to have that can-do attitude? And how can the other women, how can the other men, how can the other foster children that are looking for a way, a reason to succeed, to overcome, to pursue their apple pie dream?
I love an apple pie. We're not eating apple pie. We should have an apple pie here.
I am so sorry. You are my only guest that isn't getting an apple pie from my apple pie table.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting apple pie.
I'll have to mail you one to England.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Last minute interview.
By the way, I have alamo, so
I see.
I have high expectations.
I see. None of my guests have had alamos.
I like alamos. Okay. Ask for what you want. See, that's actually what I learned to do. I had to ask for what I want, and it's a skill that a lot of women, have difficulty with because they're ashamed. They don't want to ask for too much. They don't want to bother people. But I learned very young that in order to move forward in life, I was going to have to ask. Also, because I was an underdog, because I wasn't, like the star or the chosen one, I had to ask. Because most of the time, I was sort of discounted. So that's why it's so easy for me to ask for what I want. And I translate that into opportunities in business. I translate that into sales, because sales is really about asking for what you want. So I created the brand Selling at Stilettos. People often think, oh my gosh, this is about fashion. It's about, looking good. And really it's a brand to show women how to stand like, the platforms of the heels, right, are really solid. So stand in your feminine selling power. That's essentially what the brand is about, and my mission is to teach women how to unleash their feminine power and unlock their earning power.
That is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
How do you overcome the stigma? I know many women, with men, walking into a networking event, it's perfectly acceptable for any man to walk up and to say, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm starting my startup, I need to make this sell, will you invest in me? And men are socialized and taught to just walk in there and do that. And women, when we do the same thing as a man, we're sometimes looked at it as too needy or not being successful.
So basically, I believe, and this is based on my own experience, right? So being aged out of the foster care system, experienced every financial hardship you can possibly imagine. Essentially, what I've discovered are three major money-making skills that every woman needs to master. And number one is selling. So we're in a society where women are focused on taking selfies but they're not focused on learning how to sell. Okay. Number 2 is networking. It's important to have good people skills, good personal skills to connect with people and invest in people, right? Because you never know. I mean, that's my whole life, right? I didn't go to college, and it's because, you know, I'm able to do the things I'm able to do because of my network. And then the third one is actually communication skills. Warren Buffett said, increase your net worth by 50% by honing your communication skills. So increase your net worth by 50%, hone your communication skills. So like that's powerful, right? That's so powerful.
It is.
And when you can communicate with people, right? You can communicate with, and you know, like we're having this interview, we're communicating. You communicate the value of your art. You communicate at a job interview. You communicate, you know, able to write, you know, and in branding, we're going to talk a little bit about business. Taking a clear, compelling, and articulate message to market, which sometimes, you know, people are stuck. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to communicate powerfully. So those are the things that I learned. That's what I believe. And also what I see in the market when I work with women. I see those are the 3 skills. When women are stuck, they, on average, have yet to master those 3. That's what I see.
Well, thank you so much for letting me interview you.
And
this
was so much fun.
Being
so
here,
much
I appreciate you and all of your advice and all of your wisdom and your heart to heal and help humanity.
Nice to share.
Well, you know, it's really impressive because not everybody rises to a certain status of success and then is willing or even interested or cares to give back and to serve humanity. So thank you for your service. I appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great week and live your apple pie dreams.
Apple pie. Apple pie, I will move.